All right, let's talk about it. In this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder and with Chris Arreola. Predictions are coming out for the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight, and more people than you think are starting to pick Deontay Wilder. Chris Arreola said 100% hands down. He says Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury in the rematch. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder and his chances to win the fight against Tyson Fury, which is coming up in October 9th, and which was pushed back from the original date of July, and what Chris Arreola has to say about it. Before I do, make sure if you're not subscribed to the video, to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the share button. It goes a long way towards growing the channel. Yeah, so Deontay Wilder will be fighting the third fight in their trilogy against Tyson Fury. He had a draw in the first fight. He had a dismantling pretty much in the second fight. I got to be honest with him, because that's, pretty much what happened. There's reasons and justifications for why that happened, but if you just look at it and you don't put the cheating into it, then Deontay Wilder got dismantled in the second fight, and now he's out here in this third fight ready for the third fight. Now, Chris Arreola, who was asked about it and who's been in the ring with Deontay Wilder, said that he believes 100% that Deontay Wilder is going to win this fight, because Deontay Wilder has a lot to prove. He's got a huge chip on his shoulder, and that's pretty much what's going to get him over the hump against Tyson Fury. And I guess because his mentality is that, desire really does mean a lot in the sport of boxing, and that just the will to win. And I think that you could see that in Deontay Wilder from the fact that, I'm not saying just the way that off what Chris Arreola is saying. Chris Arreola is pointing to the things that Deontay Wilder is doing in between these fights. He's still pointing to the fact that, he lost. It was a very, very close fight in the first fight, which really could have went either way, but Deontay Wilder, if they say, according to Chris Arreola, if Deontay Wilder didn't get those knockdowns, that Tyson Fury probably would have won the fight in the first fight, and then the second fight getting dismantled, that he has just a whole lot on his chest and a whole lot of stuff to prove, and that you could tell in looking at his eyes that he's really, focused and willing to do what is necessary to win this fight and to change and do things differently from the first and the second fight, right? And I think that you see that with the workouts with Malik Scott. But the funny thing is, when you look at him going to the body and throwing the jabs to the chest that he's doing in the workouts with Malik Scott, people talk about that and they say, everybody can look good on the pads, everybody can do, look good in those circumstances, but are you going to be able to carry that to the fight? Well, certain people, I think, have been, and there's been stuff or events in the history of boxing where people have had 3 fights and thought that a guy lost, the second fight and get dismantled in the second fight, but he comes back and really puts on a much better show in the third fight. Like, one example is in the Thriller in Manila with Joe Frazier, where Joe Frazier won the first fight against Muhammad Ali. Then he lost the second fight handily, but in the third fight, because he had something to prove, because people had written him off. He had lost to George Foreman. He got knocked out by George Foreman the first time. I don't think he didn't fight George Foreman the second time until after the Thriller Manila, but he had been knocked out, so he had a lot to prove. Ali was talking a lot of smack, talking about how, he was calling him a gorilla and what he was going to do to him. And he used that motivation just to say, look, man, if you're going to beat me, I'm going to die in the ring before you beat me. And that was one of the greatest fights that you'll ever see, is the Thriller in Manila. And Ali was really close at the end of that fight to quitting to himself quitting. Now, that's what he says. I don't know if that was, if that was true or if he would have actually done it or not. But, it was just that the beating was so bad towards the end of the fight and it was in Manila, and the heat was really, really hot, that people were afraid, that the Colonel was afraid that Joe Frazier was going to die, but he put that much energy out there in order to try to get that win over Muhammad Ali. And I think that that's what you're going to see in what Chris Arreola is counting on out of Deontay Wilder in this fight, is that he's just going to have that will to win and prove, that he's the better fighter, and do whatever he needs to do in order to do that. And that includes switching up how you're fighting a more intelligent fight, because what Deontay Wilder is going to have to do to win this fight is he's going to have to be a lot more active. Deontay Wilder has a tendency to sit and wait and look for the big punch instead of trying to create a lot of action. And so against Tyson Fury in this next fight, he's going to have to take the fight to Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, he shouldn't allow Tyson Fury to take the fight to him, where Deontay Wilder's punches are less potent, right? Because Deontay Wilder's, according to Chris Arreola, gets most of his power at the end of his punches, and that's really what, the snap is what really hurts the most. But the ones that are in close, he said that he could pretty much take those, he can take those all day. So Deontay Wilder is going to have to really press the issue. He's going to have to go to the body, and he's going to have to impose his will on Tyson Fury. But I think he needs to do that primarily through being the most active fighter, because in the first fight, that's what got Tyson Fury over the hump, was his activity level, the fact that he was letting the jabs go more, and that he was letting more right hands go, and not that he was doing a lot of damage or anything, but just because Deontay Wilder was sitting at home waiting with his right hand, it just let the round after round after round go by. And where if Deontay Wilder would have been more active, just a little bit more active in the earlier rounds, then he probably would have won the fight, right? And if he was more active, especially to the body, he could have opened up Tyson Fury to the head and maybe got another shot there. So it's really going to take a lot of that, what Chris Arreola is talking about, because, I've been talking for a while about the cheating that went on with Tyson Fury, and the fact that I believe that that had effect in the first and the second fight. But, I'm not going to be somebody that's so naive as to say that, Tyson Fury can't fight, and Tyson Fury can't present, problems in and of himself without the cheating, right? Now, I think hopefully this fight, that the glove situation will be worked out, and then Tyson Fury will go back to being somebody that basically can't punch, and you don't really have to worry a lot about what's coming from him. So, and then Deontay Wilder should be able to do the things that I'm saying, which is step forward to the fight. Now, Chris Arreola is not the only person that is predicting Deontay Wilder will win. Keith Thurman also thinks that he will see a lot better performance out of Deontay Wilder in the third fight. But whatever the case is, I'm looking forward to the fight. Hopefully the fight won't get shut down again by Tyson Fury doing something else. I know that he said he's going black until the fight is happening, so there's like no more press and all that, so we don't really know what's going on with him. But all in all, I'm looking for the fight. You let me know what you think in the comment section about what Chris Arreola said. And with that, I'm out. Peace.